Okay, welcome back. I'm gonna try and do another painting hangout. I know I've got the Alpha Legion in the background, so yeah, so they're there, but this video isn't about them. Today I'm gonna do a little painting hangout slash tutorial of how to paint these guys, my Austrian Habsburg Imperial soldiers for like the War of Spanish Succession period. So I'm going to do another infantryman with a musket. If you haven't seen the other videos, I've done two stands of these guys. And so when I was trying to get these guys painted up, their uniforms are supposed to be like a gray off-white, and I had to do some experimenting to get that, but I think they turned out pretty good. So I'm just gonna paint and show you how to do it. If you know, hopefully people find this helpful. So if people watching are familiar with like Napoleonic or like mid 18th century, 7 Years' War, War of Austrian Succession period, those uniforms would be proper white. But this is the earlier period of Habsburg soldiers, so they're going to be wearing, the color was called pearl gray, and it wasn't really a true white. It was kind of more like an undyed wool. I've talked about that on previous videos, but yep, so gonna try and get this guy painted up like the rest of these. So just real quick, I will I hope the lighting is better this time. I actually had the flash turned on. I didn't know you could do that on video. That's a little embarrassing. So this is who we're painting today. And I'll show some of the colors I use. So spaceship exterior from Army Painter. This is like a gray, very light gray off-white. That's what I use as the main coat color on the jacket. And then we've got gunmetal gray for gunmetal, obviously, but I think I might use that chain. I've already got some on the palette, some of, nope, not that one, some of this for the weapon. We've got cork brown for the straps and accoutrements, and then let me see, where is my flesh color? Doing this for the skin, and then this GW Apothecary white to go over the uniform again, and the sleeves are, the buttons are brass. Vallejo, yeah, or bronze is the proper color from Vallejo. And then our last color for the cuffs, Regal blue, and or I also have this GW Cantor blue, which is more or less the same color. The Regal's a little darker. So okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Let me put some of this on the palette. So there's some painting tutorials about doing Austrians for like Napoleonics I've seen that say, you know, wait to do the white for last. Obviously I prime these in white, which I don't recommend, but so I will get started. Let's get started here. This is one of those painting projects I noticed that's a little finicky when you're starting out, but I think, you know, if you, it just takes a few, doing it after a few models, I noticed I was getting the hang of it a little bit better, especially after I got a sort of a better palette. Okay, so let's, all right, let me get this in the center. Okay, all right, I'm gonna start by doing the jacket. So just painting it, brushing this on. Now I've noticed, you might want to do this, a few coats of this. But if you don't want to do as many coats and you're trying to speed paint, that Apothecary White will definitely do a lot of work. I strongly recommend that if you've got, any kind of uniform like this that's white. And it's pretty difficult to figure out the colors of the uniforms for this period. So War of Spanish Succession era, or Marlborough's Wars. So I just kind of copied the little insert that was in the army box that I got this out of from Warlord Games, that showed blue cuffs, and I figured that's, I'll just go with that. Okay, so you can see where, well, you might not be able to see it because it takes a little bit for the color to kind of come through, but filling in all that gray left over from my priming job and the white primer. Next batch of these guys I'm probably just going to prime them in gray or black, because this white primer has never, haven't really had a good experience with it, at least on the stuff I do. So I'm gonna fill this in, and it's, no problem if we're hitting the like the brass bits, because we're just going to paint over that anyway. So should probably get some sticky tack to do this, but to put the figure on, but I don't have anything like that. So okay, so that's our first coat. Did the pants the same color, and get a little bit more coverage here. I really need to wash this brush. I think I've already kind of run it ragged. Alright, paint that in. You could probably add more details, like the undercoat, like the coat that's under the main coat being a different color or things like that, but with these big black powder era armies, I tend to kind of skip over some of the details because you need to paint so many of them, and they're in ranks, so you're not really, it's not meant to be looked at on a figure by figure sort of basis. Okay, and next we're gonna do the accoutrements, which are cork brown. Oh, and I forgot one thing. Agrax, whatever, however you say that, Earthshade on the brown bits on the belts and stuff. So let's get this onto the palette. And right. So and when I get around to doing the artillery crew for this army, I will they had a different uniform scheme, so I will show that on the channel, I think. Okay, so let's fill in the belts. So as near as I can tell from my research, the accoutrements were just a rough, light brown kind of leather like this during the War of Spanish Succession. So, all right, gonna fill that in. Another reason why you might want to do 2 coats of the gray, the spaceship exterior, or whatever sort of color like this you use, is just to cover, you know, if you miss spots like I tend to do, or paint outside of the lines, you can just go back over it. So let's get that last little bit of the belt, and then doing this side. So my main point of reference, I've mentioned this in a previous video about these guys, is a website called Uniformology, and they have a Austrian or Imperial Army series that goes from like the 30 Years' War to past like the late 18th century, I think even into the 19th century. So I'm just going to keep painting. Get those basic colors on, paint this in. Okay, alright, we got the belt. Not too hard. And then let's go do the black. So, gonna do the hat. It's black with a little white trim. Shoes are black, and the cartridge box is black. It's a black leather. Again, based on these color plates that date from the later 19th century. So they're quite nice as illustrations go. Really well done. Alright, let's get that and fill that in. And we got a little bit of a going over onto the coat, but like I said, we'll probably paint over that again. Do another pass through. Okay, and now let's get the shoes. Actually, I'm going to just get the bigger brush for this one, because the only other color on the shoes is the brass for the buckle, and that can go over top of this black from Vallejo. Now, the one thing I will say, and I've mentioned this, I think, on previous videos, is the Army Painter, this Army Painter Spaceship Gray, like some of the other Army Painter paints I have, dries really quickly in the palette, even with a wet palette. I don't know why. It's just, they just do that, but they're really cheap, so, you know, that's the trade-off. I mean, in general, I like the performance from Army Painter paints. Vallejo, though, seems to be the best. You know, I have no problem with GW paints. They're really nice too, but they are a little pricey for how much you get in the bottle. So, okay, we've got that, and sometimes it's hard to tell where the shoe ends and the sock begins when you do this white priming thing. Okay, paint that, and okay, and then let's do the hat. I'm gonna need to really be careful. Trying to avoid painting that trim. So, okay, we're gonna do that. One thing that I'm not sure about is if the grenadiers in this period for the Imperial forces were part of the regular brigades or drawn up into their own like grenadier brigades. I'm gonna have to look into that, or if somebody knows, they can tell me, maybe. It's kind of a shame that these Marlborough era wars are a little undergamed and under paid attention to, because at least in America, but that might not be true. It just might be my perception of things. There's also some North American wars in this period, well, that were connected to those bigger conflicts that were also significant, like King William's War and what was the other one? King Philip's War, I think. Anyway, yeah, but that was part of it. There was also the War of Jenkins' Ear, which I don't know about, but obviously that's a funny name for a war. Okay, so we got the black, and then hair color. I'll just give him a brown hair color, lighter brown. Just using some Vallejo leather brown. So we'll paint that in. Might be able to finish this one before my phone tells me not to, or splits the video into two parts, but we'll see. Okay, painting that in. Oh, we got a little bit on the hat, but that's okay. We're doing just some basic coats, and we can always touch that up. Okay. All right. It looks like hair's all done. Okay, and then our next major basic line coat is, whoop, drop my brush. It's going to be the blue cuffs. So get some of this regal blue out. I've used this to paint a lot of Janissaries the last several months, and this is an older pot of paint. I've had this since 2014 or no, before that, probably like 2012, 2013, when I briefly started painting Warhammer again. But that was around 6th edition of Warhammer 40,000, and I was interested in playing that edition. Just wanted another 5th edition, another army to play for 5th edition. So that's when I collected a few things from Eldar, but I did not have a lot of money at the time of my own, so I had to wait. Anyway, I think I've done a little too much Warhammer stuff on the channel lately, but just been having a lot of fun doing that Alpha Legion project. So and yeah, as you can see, we're just painting that in, and getting those cuffs, and it should be okay if they're a little like not like totally even coverage, because we're gonna paint that over with our contrast later. So alright, let's do our skin tone. So get that on the palette. And I use this one, but then I also have this medium flesh, and what else do we have? And then I have this Kislev flesh from GW. I also have some scale color skin tone paints I picked up at a convention many months ago now, obviously, back when we were still allowed to have those, and was not overly impressed with them. It's a gel-based paint, so it behaves a lot differently. It's yeah, I didn't really like how it turned out. Okay. This brush is starting to lose a little bit of its point, which that always drives me crazy. Okay, sorry about that. Alright, gonna put our flesh colors on now. Okay, we got a hand done, and then let's go over to the other hand, and I use the brown, that Agrax Earthshade wash on the skin for these guys. I guess like maybe they've been marching for a long time, been in the sun, so maybe they've got a little bit of a tan going on. Paint his face. Faces are my big weak point with painting. So I don't typically paint like eyes like this, unless it's like a Space Marine helmet, because it just doesn't turn out well for me. Okay, got that, and okay. And let's go ahead and touch up those little spots. Okay, alright, paint that in, and get this little area here. Okay. And like I said, you know, one of the beauties of painting these black powder figures is because everybody's in ranks. Having like perfect individual models is not as big a priority, because you just have to do so many typically, which is rewarding in its own right, I think, because it's really nice to see stuff all ranked up and in files. So I'm gonna get that filled in, do the barrel of the gun. Yeah, this primer job I did, I kind of made it hard to see where the barrel of the weapon begins and the wood ends. It's kind of hard to tell for me, so kind of guessing a little bit. I get the lock. There's something nice about these old flintlock muskets. There's kind of a simplicity there that's just aesthetically pleasing to me. Don't know what it really is about them. Certainly would not want to be a soldier carrying one at this period of time. Given all the camp diseases you were more likely to die from than actual combat. But I guess either way is not fun. Not a fun way to live. Okay. So we're filling that in. Alright, that looks about right. Okay, now let's do the stock of the weapon. So I'm going to use this Mornfang Brown. And I think we can put the Regal Blue away for now. I do have to say painting Space Marines is much easier. I guess that's true of anything with plate mail like that, plate armor. Trying to get these details on regular people is a bit more challenging. My brush is a little too moist. Okay, fill that in. And like I said, you know, if that gray, if the white gray gets some, you know, straight colors on it, not a huge deal, because we can touch that up at the end. Okay, this is going on for a little while, so just warning in advance, it might split. I might have to split this into 2 parts like the other ones, so alright, we're getting that. Okay, so I think what I'll do for this video, so it doesn't cut me off mid-sentence, I will go ahead and just wrap this part up here, and then I'll do a part 2, but I'm going to continue recording, so it'll just be 2 videos on the channel. So we'll stop this part 1 here, and then, like I said, there'll be a part 2 on the channel.